The film begins in a bustling town community where everybody's approaching their regular routines. The environment is by all accounts a combination of smoothness and serenity, demonstrating that the city is liberated from the illness that is wrongdoing. Unexpectedly, many unidentified flying items come tearing through the sky and begin unpredictably shooting guiltless regular people. A man named Peter observes it unfold with sickening dread from a structure until the flying machines fire a rocket towards him. Right then, Peter awakens in a nervous perspiration close to his better half Alice. It turns out Peter has been encountering repeating bad dreams. In his fantasies, he and everybody he knows endure brutal outsider attack like showdowns with an obscure foe. Alice has exhorted her significant other commonly to counsel a therapist, yet he generally disregards her, referencing that it'll pass. This has stressed the couple's relationship, and presently, they for the most part attempt to overlook one another. Alice and Peter have two girls named Hannah and Lucy who are additionally stressed over him. Yet, Peter generally asserts that he will ultimately sort out everything himself. The following day, obviously, the climate at Peter's house is very tense due to his repetitive bad dreams. Consequently, to ease up everybody's mindset, prior to leaving for work, Peter vows to take his family to a wharf soon thereafter, much to the little Lucy energy. He likewise vows to have a gathering the following day to observe Alice's advancement at work. The abnormal thing about the city is that every one of the kids are dependably at home since there are no schools here, and training is non-existent. Also, everybody is by all accounts excessively far off from each other. Despite the fact that there are communications, they appear to be freezing and ingenuine. Afterward, working, Peter again has peculiar dreams, making one of his gear crash. As he snaps out of his fantasy and attempts to fix the machine, his chief, David, shows up there. David is an sympathetic and understanding man who knows about Peter's concerns, so he prescribes him to a great facility. Peter differs that it's all to him, accepting that how the situation is playing out are, as a matter of fact, prophetic dreams of an intrusion that will before long come from the sky. Nonetheless, David cautions him to oblige, or probably he will not be permitted to keep working at the workplace any longer. Not long after, he again encounters a few bizarre dreams. In one of them, a few shooters storm into a structure and begin shooting everybody in sight. All at once, he awakens, upset. Also, understands that he's been dreaming again, working to exacerbate the situation. He is additionally late for the family outing, leaving his youngsters crushed. Thus, tired of what his life has become, he at long last chooses to visit the center. The following day, he declares to Alice that he has previously fixed a meeting with a specialist, causing her a deep sense of shock and bliss. At the center, Peter meets an individual patient named Chris, who uncovers that he is additionally having similar dreams. He then begins letting some no peculiar speculations like somebody needs to control them by eradicating their contemplations. These individuals are vicious and dangerous. Furthermore, they are coming to Earth very soon. Peter is extremely befuddled by the discussion. Be that as it may, he decides to disregard it since the spot is loaded up with mental patients. After Chris goes in for his arrangement, Peter has another weird vision. This time, he sees his chief, David, and his family furnished with weapons and strolling around the city. Later, Peter wakes up. He concludes that his dreams are of a forthcoming attack which he would rather not be deleted. Subsequently, he leaves the center without treatment. At the point when he gets back, Alice gets some information about his meeting and he confesses all to her. Peter thinks that he has intended to see these things and that something terrible is going to come to pass for on them. Tired with all the BS, Alice stops him and advises him to simply prepare for the party. In any case, at the party, peculiarly, nobody is by all accounts eating anything, as though they don't require it. Peter likewise keeps on acting unusual and continually takes a gander at the sky through his telescope on the overhang. At the point when his neighbor, Beam, approaches talk, an odd glowing item tumbles from the sky. Peter thinks he is dreaming, yet Beam affirms that those articles are as a matter of fact genuine. This draws in the consideration of Alice and Beam's significant other, Samantha, so they choose to join the men at the overhang. Unexpectedly, the flying item collides with a close-by building, sending gigantic shockwaves that destroy the city. This likewise causes Peter and the gathering to go flying through the glass window and into their loft. They rapidly get up and have one more glance through the gallery just to find huge number of comparative flying articles sliding on Earth from the sky above. Panicked, they rush once again into the home. Peter searches for his youngsters and discovers that Hannah is at Beam's place spending time with her little girl, Maddie. Burning through no time, he races to find the young ladies with Beam. However, all of a sudden, an outsider fighter shows up and starts shooting at them. The men barely break and frantically make tracks. After the officer leaves, they search for the young ladies and in the long run track down them inside a cot lift. Inside, they likewise find the dead body of a lady, affirming that whoever is flying those boats have pronounced battle on the city. Subsequent to saving the young ladies, they notice a furnished warrior killing other occupants brutally. They quickly stow away, and at an ideal time, the two families head out in different directions. In the wake of arriving at his condo, Peter goes up against Alice and lets her that everything know that is happening at present. He saw it in his fantasies, however, in an alternate request. He doesn't have the foggiest idea of what will occur straight away. However, he feels that they ought to set out toward the industrial facility where he works. The two then, at that point, hear the sound of additional individuals getting gunned down, so they blockade the primary entryway prior to concealing the young ladies in their room. Unexpectedly, somebody attempts to compel through the fundamental entryway. provoking the frightened couple to hold it from the opposite end. Tragically, in the midst of the mayhem, Lucy leaves the space to search for her delicate toy Herman and conceals under a table. In the interim, in the wake of neglecting to acquire passage through the entryway, the equipped outsider makes an opening through the wall. Scared, Peter and Alice run back to their little girls just to understand that Lucy has branched out. By then, at that point, the furnished outsider tracks down Lucy and stops to analyze her intently. Taking benefit of the slight interruption, Peter goes after the fighter from behind. Alice, too, shows up at the scene, and together, the couple at last quells the outsider. Following this, Peter arms himself with the fighter's weapon and leads his family to the rooftop. There, they rejoin with Beam and his loved ones. Every one of them are stunned and crushed to observe their once rambling city canvassed in fire. All at once, an outsider robot overviews the structure with a spotlight, provoking them to stow away from it rapidly. Then, at that point, they understand that they can't be at the housetop for a really long time and choose to drop down with the assistance of the glass cleaner's lift. In any case, tragically, one of the backings of the crane snaps, constraining them to enter an unfilled condo. In the meantime, it's uncovered that the trooper from Pryor is as yet alive. It is presently searching for the family, following them with a homing sign on the firearm taken by Peter. Then again, Peter looks at the outsider's firearm and understands that it has a biometric trigger which must be shot by its proprietor. Subsequent to hearing a few outsiders moving toward them, he tells the gathering to rush to his production line cellar, as it is the main safe spot as per his dreams. In any case, since the whole locale is encircled by outsiders, he doesn't have the foggiest idea how to arrive at there. Fortunately, Alice recommends that they can in any case arrive at the cellar through the passages that she found during her work. Out of nowhere, a spacecraft starts shooting at them from outside, killing Beam and his loved ones. On the spot, Peter rapidly accompanies his family out of the condo, however experiences two furnished outsiders in the foyer. They rapidly stow away and Peter frantically attempts to sidestep the rifle's biometric validation. Luckily, he prevails at the last possible second and kills the fighters. Peter and his family then, at that point, advance out of the structure and continue towards the passage. Yet, just before they can get in, the spacecrafts begin terminating at them, harming Alice all the while. As Peter watches out for his better half, the outsider trooper from Pryor gets dependent upon them and assaults him. Nonetheless, Peter sets up a battle and breaks the outsider's head protector. To everybody's shock, the warrior eliminates his protective cap and uncovers that he is likewise a human. Peter requests answers, yet seeing his better half draining out, he undermines the fighter with a weapon and orders him to convey Alice to the processing plant. There, Peter and his family join with his chief, David, and another equipped men. The fighter is caught and a specialist on the scene watches out for Alice's injuries. To Peter's shock, the doctor apparently shocks Alice, as though she is a tech gear. David then makes sense of for Peter that the intrusion has been expected for a long time. As a matter of fact, a large portion of individuals on Earth realized that this day would come. After additional assessment on Alice, the surgeon illuminates Peter that she has gotten broad harm to her inside organs, and subsequently, she can't be saved. All of a sudden, the trooper, who is being hauled off for execution, yells that he can save Alice. At first, Peter expects that he is basically attempting to wriggle right out of the circumstance. Be that as it may, when he sees his perishing spouse, he chooses to allow the fighter an opportunity. He additionally chooses to remain with the fighter and Alice, allowing David to empty their girls to a metro station, where a vehicle train anticipates to take them all to an off-site base. Prior to leaving, the little girls bid their folks a profound farewell, without really any confirmation of seeing them alive once more. Not long after, the officer tears open Alice's injury and Peter is stunned to see a few wires inside her body. He frenzies and requests replies. Shockingly, the trooper uncovers that Alice is a computerized reasoning robot. Peter is shocked by the disclosure and he goes stunned. Notwithstanding, the trooper lets him know that if he has any desire to save Alice, he really wants a substitute wellspring of force, which is Peter himself. At the officer's direction, Peter takes a folding knife and carefully begins cutting open his own chest. In any case, despite the fact that he makes a profound cut, he has no worries by any means. Later, he is through with the interaction. He sees counterfeit organs and wires inside his body. It is likewise a manufactured to affirm that as he attempts to have a grip of the disclosure, the fighter draws out a link and interfaces it between the two engineered materials, making Peter drop. During this period, he encounters exhaustively about his common bad dreams. It turns out what he had believed were dreams representing things to come are really recollections of a past conflict. Numerous years back, the people made engineered robots to serve them and eventually make the world a superior spot to live in. Nonetheless, the fabricated materials turned out to be too brilliant and begun an unrest, requesting equivalent freedoms. As their human partners, they needed to go to schools, have feelings, have a family. Furthermore, even bare kids like the people, in any case, their solicitations were promptly dismissed. Dreading a looming war, the human military went after the unarmed fabricated materials and killed a part of them. In any case, the computer-based intelligence engineered materials retaliated and utilizing their faultless actual strength. Also, high-level mind, they in the long run drove the people out of Earth. Indeed, even Peter himself killed one of them. It's additionally uncovered that Peter and Alice met during the pressure. At some point, while battling against the people, they went over Hannah and Lucy, who were lamenting their expired guardians. The young ladies are fabricated materials, however they were taken on by human guardians. Most likely in light of the fact that they could never have offspring of their own. Seeing their pitiable condition, Peter and Alice quieted them down and chose to take on them. Finally, to manage the responsibility of how they killed people, most engineered materials including Peter and his family cleaned their recollections of the conflict and lived as people, uninformed about their tendency or history. Nonetheless, individuals like David decided to keep their memory, with the goal that they could plan for the people who were never going to budge on getting payback. We likewise get to realize that the facility that Peter went to prior is one of the spots where the synths had their recollections stifled. What's more, presently, that some synths are recovering parts of their recollections, they are again being sent there. Back in the present, Peter and Alice awaken and the trooper, Miles, makes sense of that later. The people escaped from Earth on spaceships, they showed up on Mars and began modifying for their definitive retaliation. During their time there, the older folks showed the kids that the synths are horrendous animals who just expertise to kill. What's more, following 50 years of arranging, they at long last assembled progressed hardware and weapons, with the assistance of which they have returned to recover what's evidently theirs. Be that as it may, Miles had consistently expected the synths to be beasts, not families with youngsters. What's more, subsequent to getting a decent glance at Lucy under the table, he concluded that he was unable to kill anybody. In the wake of listening to him, Peter is shocked. Be that as it may, in any case, he says thanks to Miles for his assistance prior to leaving with his significant other. In any case, as they arrive at the tracks, they are gotten between an extreme gunfire between the fabricated materials and the people. Luckily, the fabricated materials remain steadfast, permitting Peter and Alice to escape from the spot and ultimately arrive at the station where the train is going to take off. The people show up even there, yet at the same the versatile David stakes them back for certain rounds, permitting Peter, Alice and himself to get on the train. After the train takes off, David uncovers that he needed to keep his memory to get ready for the impending conflict, a choice which ended up being productive. Peter grins at him tenderly. What's more, trusts that sometime in the future, there can be harmony between people. What's more, the artificial materials. The film closes as the train escapes the broken-down city, guaranteeing that the synths on board can have adequate chance to design their best course of action.